What elements make for a good game story? I think for me, it's about being a sports fan and writing like a sports fan. What I mean is, we're all going to watch games. We're all going to look at box scores. But as a writer, your job is to tell them the story beyond that story, beyond the game, beyond the box score. And in my first 4 to 5 drafts of a story, I want to smack the reader with something that they didn't see or something they couldn't see. That means taking them inside the locker room. What's the emotion of players on the field or off the field back in the locker room? What is going on with the crowd? What are different elements that they may have missed in the game, whether it be a quarterback raising his hands for a touchdown before it actually happened, or the crowd going eerily silent before the biggest play of the game. Those are things that make or break a game story. Number 2, I think you have to have a money quote. Typically in your first 5 drafts of your story that comes from a player that you feel like is a great quote. When you're around locker rooms, you'll know who that are. Guys who don't lean on cliches. Guys who tell you that emotion that you need to really sell that story. And guys who take you inside their mind back when the game or the play particularly happened. And number 3, you have to sell your product. You wrote a really good story. Stats in there. You have the emotion ideally that I mentioned, the atmosphere. You told the story perfectly, but you have to get people to read it. So you have to sell. Go to a restaurant, it doesn't just say steak, potatoes. It says medium rare ribeye steak with truffle butter, perfectly seared. You got to sell that. That's like your headline. You need 5 to 9 words, ideally, in my opinion, and start with action verbs as much as you can. I like to use why, how, inside, words that draw the reader's attention, because 90% of the time they're going to look at the headline and that's going to create their assumption of the story, or that's going to make their decision on whether they click it or not. So it's your job to sell that piece as best as you can, and that's my way of writing a good game story.